AOW, talk to me about the Dallas Mavericks. You like them overall in the West out of that three-team bunch of the Mavericks, Suns, and the Kings. Why do you like them in this spot?
Well, they're going up against the Kings, one of those three teams, and they're going up against the Kings at home, where the Kings have struggled. They've just 13-20 ATS at home, and it's a bad rest spot for the Kings. They're playing their third game in 4 nights, fourth in 6, and fifth in 7. So if you just look at teams that have played 5 games in 7 nights, I'm talking just like no other context, just fifth and 7. They're if you fade those teams, that's 16, 14, and 1 ATS this season, and 65, 57, and 3 since the bubble. And that's like like I'm saying, no other context. Like the other team could be crazy depleted, no players. We don't know. That's just straight up. That is the record of that fifth and 7 nights. It's a bad rest spot. Sac is on a back-to-back. So is Dallas, and they do have to travel from Dallas does have to travel to Sacramento, but they've been playing really good ball lately. They're 7-1 ATS their last 8 games. In that stretch, they're third in net rating at plus 10.3, 10th in effective field goal percentage. They've just been crushing. And I will say, being on a back-to-back, you want to I like to wait on the injury reports with this kind of stuff, man. The way that I cap games now, I've been burned so many times. I just wait it out. Man. I don't care. I want to know who's playing. I trust myself knowing who's playing. I don't trust myself to be able to read and guess who I think is going to play. I don't have that info. What I do have is how I'm able to cap given how, who I know is playing. So, the Mavericks are 3-6 without Luka, 11-11 without Kyrie this season. I will probably it is such a bad rest spot. I will still like it if those guys are out. Well, maybe not both, but if one of them is out, I will probably still like it based on the line change. But I want to know, and I want that line to be there. They're also, one thing I will say, they're a great second half team on the road. So if you want to wait it out fully, even more once game starts, go ahead and bet them at halftime, and watch the checks cash, because like I said, bad rest spot, great second half team on the road. Give me the Mavericks plus 1.5.
Yeah, as we sit here, record this on Monday night, 11:30 Eastern, Dallas and Sacramento, the injury report has not been submitted. They just are closing up games here on the slate. J Money is money. Any thoughts on this? Is a really fun matchup, probably the best matchup of the 4-game slate tomorrow.
I mean, I wouldn't say the best matchup, because we have another game that's like a really great game, the game that you're going to talk about, Sean. But as I would famously say, A.O. Watts, I could not talk you off here. I do think it's a total mouse spot here. I would like to know, though, A.O. Watts, what's the straight up numbers? Because this isn't against, usually when it's fifth game in 7 nights, they really tax the team that's in the fifth game in 7 night spots, which the Kings are. I'm not worried about the Mavs resting anybody, because they just had 3 days off before this Jazz game here. So I would like to know if you could get the numbers real fast for me while I talk about this game. Let us know what the straight up numbers are for that team that's in the fifth game in 7 nights, because I don't think ATS matters here, since the fact that the Kings are actually favored here. You see what I'm saying? They have to win the game. But go ahead.
Let me check. I got to look it up. So you guys talk about it. I'm going to look it up right now.
Yeah, it's a map spot. They lost both games already to Sacramento this year. So this is a revenge. This is a double revenge game spot as well. Both of the games are at the house, and he laid it out. I mean, it's real simple. Back to back, third game in 4 nights. Coming back from an East Coast road trip as well. They're playing right now. So this kind of evens the things up. The fact that the Mavs have to fly in here because when their game ended, Kings game was at the halftime. So they don't have to travel anywhere, but it's just a brutal spot. Coming back home, 3-game East Coast road trip. And then you got to play a back to back as well. And the Mavs have revenge, and I already think that they're the better team as well. I was trying to watch the rest of the Mavs game just to make sure nobody got injured. Got to look at the numbers and stuff like that as well. Obviously, Kyrie is dealing with Ramadan and things like that, but I think this is a total Mavs spot. I don't really agree with them being underdogs here. If this wasn't a spot where the Mavs run a back-to-back from altitude, I'd be all over the Mavs in this spot. But it's still Mavs are nothing for me, and I do think that they are the better team versus the Kings. It's the big game for playoff implications, all the good stuff. Mavs have the advantage down. I know Sabonis is a baller, but Kings don't really have a backup center. When Lively and Gafford are in the game, I do think they have a major advantage here. You just need the Mavs to make some shots in this one. As long as they can knock down some threes and Luka can get cooking in this one and Kyrie can get cooking as well, get my guys some water out there. I think the Mavs should come out with the win in this one, but they also play, again, their next matchup versus Sacramento as well. So could be a spot where we take the Mavs, and if they just so happen not to get it done, then we double up on them in the next game. But I do feel like this is a total Mavs spot here, especially with their additions at the trade deadline.
Sacramento 6-6 ATS on no rest. That's what they'll be up against at home versus the Dallas Mavericks. AOW, were you able to find those numbers? If not, we'll come back to it. Don't trip.
I believe I did, and the numbers are no, I didn't. Hold on, give me one more second.
Okay,
right.
For sure. But Jay, is the Kings, I'll say this for me. The Kings are one of the hardest teams to figure out in the NBA for a couple of reasons. Two, they rely so much on Domantas Sabonis on the glass and to facilitate. I've seen De'Aaron Fox fluctuate, scoring the rock throughout the year, which has been kind of mind-boggling. They had a couple games in a row in February. They lost by double digits to the Pistons, and the very next night beat Denver by 29. So they have a couple. They have two different ways they go about playing ball, and it's just hard to peg. This time of year in the NBA, honestly, is extremely difficult to handicap. It's just probably the hardest time of the year. And as we get into the playoffs here, if you feel like you don't have a beat on the board or not seeing the board very clearly, don't press. Wait until the playoffs and things get solidified a bit more and some motivational spots here open up. But yeah, it's a very tough spot to handicap the NBA at the moment.
It's a fact.
So real quick, so I've just found it. Last 2 years, 30 and 34 on the money line, but that's 6.7% ROI if you just blindly bet the team, if you faded that team in the 5th and 7th spot.
Yeah. Yeah, I mean, rest is important. It's tough.
And I mean, a lot of those include like, double-digit favorites or double-digit dogs, right? So I think even though it's less than 50%, we're not, a lot of those are probably pick'ems or whatever, as close of a line as this game is. So yeah, the ROI I think is a little more important in this case.